Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's Daf Hayemi Maseches NIDAH Nun Ches. We begin on Nun Ches Amud Aleph, around 9 lines from the top at the 2 dots. Ala Keva, Valorish Goydla Tmei V'chu. So the Isha discovers a stain somewhere on her skin, which is lined up with the source of the NIDAH blood. For example, Ala Keva, on the back of her heel, Valorish Goydla, on the top of the thumb toe, so the front of the toe, which is aligned with the source of Dam NIDAH, Tmeya. She's tummy. Now, although, as we learned yesterday, Minha Torah, an Isha is only tummy if she has a sensation, hargasha, as the Dam is flowing out. However, Midrabanan, we don't differentiate. Even merely discovering a stain renders her tummy, provided that stain can be attributed to the source of her Dam NIDAH. So one example is, if it's located in an area which is aligned with the source of her Dam. Now, why are these locations considered aligned? I understand the back of her heel. When in sitting position, it could fold back in close proximity to that area, and therefore it's attributed to Dam NIDAH. My time. What about the toe? Chitema, perhaps. Maybe it could happen that the toe, although it did not receive the Dam directly as a drip from the makor of Dam, but perhaps the Dam dripped down to the akev, to the sole, which touched the other toe, which touched the toe on the other foot. So perhaps there was a transfer from one place to the other, in which case it's still Dam NIDAH. Perhaps will suggest Zimnin, it could have happened that this toe touched the other sole. Since when do we speculate that Tumah would travel from one location to the other? Tanya, we have a brayso which indicates otherwise. The woman knows she has some sort of scratch on her neck, which can provide a tiliyah, as we discussed yesterday. Tiliyah means an excuse, a cover story for this Dam. If you can attribute it to some kosher Dam, some Dam tohar, then you don't have to consider her NIDAH. That was a special leniency, a kula applied to ksamim, which to begin with only the Rabbanan, in which case if there's any alibi to excuse to explain where the Dam came from other than Dam NIDAH, she's tohar. For instance, a maka b'tzavar, which gives her that shatucha litlis, gives her that tzliya, toila, fine, she can attribute the drip, the stain, back on the, coming from the wound on her neck. But al kseifa, now there's a gersa, the Bach says, makim shatucha litlis, which is really the point of our discussion. Location is what determines. So if it's in a place where the Dam was likely to have dripped from the tzavar over to that spot on the guf, okay, then it's a fair attribution. But let's say she discovers a drop of Dam on her shoulder, where it's highly unlikely that it skipped over from the neck to the shoulder. It's not like a direct drip down, it's sort of to the side. Where you can't really attribute it to the neck. She can't blame it on the wound. Now, we don't say maybe it was transported. Perhaps she received some Dam on her hand as she was touching her neck, and then that Dam went from the hand to the shoulder. Perhaps she received a Dam in her hand and transported it over to the shoulder. We don't say that. So if you can attribute it directly, fine, but indirectly not. So likewise regarding Tumah, I understand there could be a direct drip down to the Akev, but not to the Goydel. That only would work through a stopover. Says the Gemara, yeah, actually, Elo Shani Reish Goydel. Rosh Goydla is different, meaning it's possible that the dam dripped directly onto that, even though it's not really technically aligned with the source of dam. But as she's walking, there's movement back and forth, and it could have chanced upon the toe as it was passing beneath the source of dam. As she's walking of it could happen to Misrami that it should get aligned for the moment opposite the area and receive its dam. Okay, so the question was, a spot on the Akev could be attributed, it could be aligned with the Makam Nida, but the Goydel, it would seem that there's no direct flight from the Makar Nida to the Rosh Goydla. The answer is that it could have happened that she was walking. But in general, we do not attribute Tumah from one place to the other, which means to say, we assume what you see is what you get. You found it here, it was here to begin with. It didn't come from a second location, etc. Asks the Gemara, we do not attribute Tumah from one place to the other. Vatanya, listen to this Brisa, again regarding Dam Nida. Nimtzis al Kishrei Esbeisah. She discovers a stain on the Kishrei of the joints. So it's the top, so the back of her hand, where it's unlikely that the dam would have somehow arrived directly on that spot, because even if she was inspecting herself, it would have been found on the bottom surface of her fingers, not on the top, on the joint area. How did it get there? Nimtzis al Kishrei Esbeisah. Still Temeya. Why? Explains the Brisa, because hands have their own way of moving around. And hands are always mobile and active. But still, how did it get to the top of her hand? My time, why? The only way is to assume there was a stopover. It was transported from elsewhere. For instance, she did a badika with her right hand, right finger, and then, unbeknownst to her, the dam got transferred by touch to the other side, to the other hand. So you could have gone to the back of her hand by way of the right hand over to the left hand. She did a badika with the right hand, and that got transported to the back of the second hand. So you see that we do attribute indirectness and stopovers to dam. Right? So earlier we said that we do not do that. And here we say, well, maybe one hand did the bdika, Law says the Gemara, no. It's not because we assume there was a two-step trip. Hand is very different than any other limb, because a hand is moving, it's touching, and it's possible that she was handling the source of the NIDAH area with her left hand, and somehow the back of the hand brushed against the area and got stained. What about on her leg area? She finds it on the shaykh, the thigh, the leg area, or the bottom of her foot, the foot area on the bottom. So it depends. Again, if it can be attributed to the source of dam, fine. So mibifnim means, so suppose it's the right hand, we have the thigh, we have the leg, we have the foot. So if it's on the interior facing surface, facing the left side, so it's the right side, but it's the inside of the right side facing the left side, that's called mibifnim on the inside, then it's likely that it dripped down from the source and she's tamei. Now, when we say mibifnim, so it's the inner surface, the left facing surface. So basically you can have four surfaces. You have the inside, you have the outside, you have the tzadim, what the Mishnah calls tzadim, the front and the back. Now when we say inside, until what point? How far around is considered inside? They explain until the place of chavak. She explains that the sinews, the collection of sinews and tendons that connect the knee to the thigh. So once you get to that point, that's already out of the lifnim zone. Now the question is, what about the actual place of sinews? Are they like the inside or the outside? Makim chavak lifnim, or is it kalachot tashma taner v'ktina ad makim chavak? So lifnim stretches until the place of chavak. Chavak is like hug, right? So the sinews that hug, that connect. The chavak atzma, the actual chavak area lifnim is considered like the inside, and there is tumah there. Rav Chia breder of Avya Masla Behedya, he had a straightforward quotation. Okay, so it's pretty clear. Now comes an interesting shaila. Boy, Rabbi Yirmiyah. What if the Isha discovers an odd-looking stain? Kisher mao. It's round like a bracelet. Kishura mao. The droplets are lined up like a straight line. Tipen mao. What if they're a bunch of randomly organized droplets? These aren't your typical stains. What if it's alongside the width? So it's a horizontal stain instead of a vertical stain, which is typical. Mao. Toshma comes at right from the brisa we discussed yesterday. Toshma al basara, she finds a stain on her skin, and the brisa elaborates with extra words, which seem to cover all types of designs. It says safek tameh, safek tar, she's tameh. So when it says al basara, we assume it covers everything. My love, kagavna, it covers all types of configurations. No, maybe it's referring to a standard, typical. Dilma David Kiritzua, the classic Ritzua, like a strap, meaning a downward, shaped a drip. But otherwise, maybe we have to attribute it to elsewhere. There was a story about Ahiyata, said this woman, she discovered her stain not on herself or on her beged, rather on the chassis threads, the horizontal threads that she was setting up in the loom. What happens now? Is it from her or from elsewhere? She posed Rabbi with this question. She says, go back and duplicate the motion and see if the threads at some point in your motion are aligned beneath the makar of dam NIDAH. She should go and come, meaning redo a duplicate of Atani asked the Gemara. We don't have duplicate as a fair test. Atani ain't showing him taharis. Rashi brings this Gemara back in Daf Hey. There was some tumah sitting nearby, and he took his talus and gave a sweep. Right, so this would be motion. It's very, very likely, almost impossible. I wouldn't have brushed by the tumah, and he's not sure what happened. So there was a notion to go back and redo it, try to duplicate and see if it brushes the actual tumah. The Gemara says, no, you can't. We don't redo things in order to prove matters of taharis. So why are we sending her back to duplicate? Answers the Gemara, ki amrinin in shein lakula. We don't do that to be lenient. So if it seems like you touched, it's over. You can't go back because who's to say the next time will be an exact duplication of the previous time? But in our case, what to begin with? There really is no established reason to make her tameh. Look, it wasn't on her skin, it wasn't on her garment. So here, actually, aval chumra shayin. Here it's going to be a chumra. If she discovers that the chassis is aligned with the area when she duplicates it, so we're going to be machmer on her, which is sort of above and beyond the basic, notion of halacha. So it's a chumra, and that works. So he says to her, look, if you go back and you duplicate it, and you see that it's lined up with the area of your tumah, so we are machmer, and she becomes tameh. So the Mishnah spoke about a stain on a garment. Locations, what determines? In the below waist area, you attribute it to the makar tumah. Above, you're safe and sound. But if it's something which she was using as a blanket, which could move around, so a stain discovered anywhere on that blanket could have been attributed to the makar of tumah, she's tameh. Tanya. This new halacha. I myself ruled on this matter, in the city of Rome, that in fact we suspect that it's dam NIDAH and she's tam. So this was my own idea, but then when I came to my colleagues, they confirmed it. When I came to the Chacham in the south, in Eretz Yisrael, they told me, well said, Yafei Reisa. That's a valid ruling. Tanur Rabban. Suppose two women have used the same rope, after which you find a stain. Who do you attribute it to? Tanur Rabban. So we have a tall woman, short woman, aruka, shalav shechaluk shel tzara. Tall one, who wore the garment of a short woman. Or the other way around, uktsara, a short one, shalafsha, who wore chaluka shalaruka, the long one's garment. And you find a stain. Who do you attribute it to? Depends on the location. Im, magya, keneget, beis hatorba shalaruka. If the location corresponds with the source of NIDAH of the tall one, which certainly corresponds and is even below the area of the short one, shtein tmei, so they're both tummy, because the culprit can be either one. But otherwise, suppose it only reaches an area which is aligned with the shorter one and not the longer one, then the longer one is off the hook. Aruka is tahira, uktsara, she's the one that's tani. We have another brisa. Batka chavluka, Rachel examined her garment before she passed it on to Leah to use. Vishalat al chaverta, and she loaned it to Leah. After which she finds a stain. Who do you blame it on? He tahira. Rachel is safe and sound because look, she says I checked it. There was nothing there when I gave it to you. V'chaverta teilaba, but Leah can blame it on Rachel. What does that mean? Amar of Sheish is l'nidina tanan. Not regarding her tummy status. Only regarding matters of din. What does that mean? Who has to send it to the cleaners? So Rachel says, look, it was clean when I gave it to you. Leah says, I don't trust you. You said you checked it properly, so I don't have to wash it for you. But regarding matters of Yeridea, regarding matters of Tumah, lenient Tumah, the Leah can't blame it on Rachel unless she can prove that Rachel is the culprit. He tahira, so Rachel is safe and sound. She says, look, I checked it, I know it was clean when I gave it to you, but Leah is stuck with the tumah. Ask the Gemara. Turn to base. Ma'ishnama de Sanya. So here we're saying that Rachel is safe and Leah is tummy. Even though really it could have come from either one, we attribute it to Leah. Why is it different in the brisa? Ma'ishnama de Sanya. Two women were handling a bird, and there was a shchita, there was dam there. We know there's a certain amount of dam there, a sela, a size. It could have, created a sela-sized stain, let's say an inch square, of dam. V'nimtza kesela alzu, and lo and behold, Rachel and Leah, each one found a stain on themselves, the size of a sela. So one sela can be blamed on the bird, the second one is dam NIDAH. Which one's which? Shtein tmeis in this case. You can't give either one the tliya. They both have to presume that they're tummy. So the question is, here too, true, Rachel checked and she no, but the fact is, we found a stain after both have used it, so we have to attribute it to both. We don't know which one, so they're both tummy. Now, Taisus asks Akasha, how could you compare the two stories? Here, you have no right to prefer one over the other. They were both involved in a tzipor. And both discovered a stain. There's an extra stain here, since you can't identify what's what, so they're both tummy. But here, in the case of the robe, Rachel says, I checked it before I gave it to you. Why am I to blame? So Rabbeinu Tam is an interesting pshat in the Gemara. He says that in the case of the brisa by the bird, Rachel handled the bird, and then Leah handled the bird as well. So if Rachel would have been just on her own, handled a bird that produces dam, she discovers a kesem on herself, she's tar. The reason why she's thrown off track is because Leah is part of the equation. So the adding of Leah into the equation disrupts her tliya, because now we have too many stains to blame on the bird. And therefore they're both tummy. Likewise, in the case of the robe, Rachel, independent of Leah, will be safe and sound. Look, she had a robe that she wore. She inspected it after wearing. It was clean. She's good. So what's the issue? Well, now you have Leah. Who wants to blame the stain on Rachel? At least regarding din, regarding the obligation of cleaning it. So it turns out that to a certain extent we are attributing it to Rachel, at least to absolve Leah of the cleaning bill. So perhaps in this case as well, we should apply the same rule as the bird with double stain. So adding Leah into the equation eliminates Rachel's excuse, eliminates Rachel's tliyah. Since regarding Leah, to a certain extent, we attribute the dam to Rachel, so the Rachel's got to live with it. She's considered tamei. That's the Gemara's kash. But the Gemara does answer. There's a huge difference between the two cases. You can't compare. Shani Hassam, the case of the bird is very different than our case. There you have a double stain. A cell is, the size of the stain. You have a double stain. Rachel has a stain. Leah, you only have one cell of dam tahar, the bird. So since you have two stains with one tiliyah, which cannot be applied to both women, so they're both stuck with it, and they're both tamei. As opposed to the case of the robe, why should I blame it on Rachel if she says I checked it? So she's off the hook. And Leah is stuck with the kesem. Tanarabba. Lavsha shleisha chalukas. Or chalukin. So Nisha wore a triple layer. One robe on top of the other, on top of the other. Habdukunla. Which had been inspected, pre-inspected by her. So she knew they were clean. Dukunla means they were checked as far as she's concerned, and then she discovers some sort of stain. If there is an alibi, there's some excuse out there, some other source of dam tahar, toila, she can blame the stain on that. Even if it's on the lowest layer. Because perhaps the upper one peeled away and the dam came flying in from outside and landed on that lower layer. But let's say there is no alternate source of dam which she can attribute the stain to. In this case, she can't blame it on anything. I feel bad, even if it's on the upper layer, where it is likely that it came from the outside, but she has no story for that. She has to take the blame. Ketzah, for example, she passed through a butcher market where there's an abundance of dam which could have splattered on her. Toila, she can blame it on that. Even if it's on the lowest garment. She did not pass through such a blood-laden area, so then we blame it on herself. I feel even if it's on the upper layer, she can't blame it on anything. Rather, she has to take the credit. Okay, let's do a quick chazara of the Gemara until this point. Okay, some on the guf, if it's aligned with the makom of dar NIDAH, she's tamei. For example, a keva, which could have folded up into that area. We have reish goydla, which could have, as she was walking, could have lined up beneath the makor of dar NIDAH. But in general, we do not attribute tumah makom l'makom. We don't say tumah travels. So why then by the hand, the back of the hand, do we say it came from the makor of dar NIDAH? The answer is because the yadayim askaniyas, they move around, and it's possible that it would have brushed that area. What about the shoika, the foot, the leg? So if it's on the inside, facing surface, then she's tamei, and we define exactly what that surface is. We had a question regarding peculiar shaped kesem. What status that has? We thought we had a raya, which didn't really pan out. We had a story of the Isha discovered the stain on the chassis, on the loom, who was instructed to go and duplicate and see what happens. We learned about something that you wear at night, you cover at night. A stain anywhere on that item is presumed to be tamei. We discovered the tall and the short women, and we discovered the borrowed. We discussed the borrowed stain discovered on the borrowed chaluk. We compared it, and then we differentiated between that and the story of the one tzipor and the double stain. And we had the triple layer, where if there's an excuse, it covers even the bottom layer. Otherwise, even the top layer is presumed to be tamei. Speaking about tliyos, says the Mishnah, we allow her to blame anything that she can find to blame it on. For instance, shachta behema b'chayvaif. She was involved in shechting an animal or bird, which produces dam. So then she can attribute the stain to those sources. She was involved with stains, or she sat near those involved in such. Or hergama acheles. Oh, the famous machelis, which is the topic of the next sugya. Machelis is a louse, which when squished produces dam. And she knows she killed one. Ha'arezu toilaba, she can blame it on that. At kama toila. How big of a stain can she blame on the louse? How much blood does it produce at a maximum? She'll pull a certain kind of beans. So gris is a half, a split pull, which is an area on the body which can grow 36 hair. So it's about the size of a penny, more or less. Adds, even though she knows she wasn't involved in lice today, but the Chachamim established the gris size stain as a minimum threshold for tumas kesem, since lice are common and we want to keep things consistent and clear. Since it's possible that it came from there, we absolve any stain smaller than that. What other alibis can we have? Let's say the husband, the son, sitting nearby has some sort of wound, a scrape. She can blame it on that as well. Perhaps it was through touching that she got stained. Let's say she herself has a known wound, a scratch or a scrape. Even if it's partially healed and scabbed, that if it could reopen and produce another batch of dam, that's good enough for us. In fact, it was a story. This woman, she approached Rabbi Kiva with a stain. He says, let's explore. Let's try to, find perhaps some sort of alibi. Perhaps can I suggest that you had some sort of wound on your skin? She says, yeah, but I'll be honest with you, it's already healed. He said, oh, not so quick. Maybe it's not fully healed. Is that possible? Can it be reopened, by getting scratched and opened up again and produce new dam? She says, yeah, actually, hey, it's possible. Your Torah says to her. So now he notices his students nearby looking at each other strangely. Why is our Rebbe being so lenient? She says, why is it so difficult in your eyes? Because the truth is that the whole concept of Tumas Kesem is only the Rabbanon. And it was limited to certain parameters. Chacham only presented the halacha of Kesem in a way of leniency. Because Minat Torah Shenemar, V'isha Kesia Zova, Dam Yeh, Zovi B'Vsarim, we learn Dam, actual blood sightings, makes her tummy blood Kesem, not a stain that she discovers on her. And since it's the Rabbanon established clear-cut parameters that it has to be something which cannot be blamed on Tahara, and likewise it has to conform to a certain minimum size, as we saw. Now let's say you discover a stain on an aid, a cloth used to wipe yourself. Sitting under the pillow. So next morning she sees this, and himself of dam. She finds a stain. Ogol Torah, Mashal Tameh. Depends on its shape. If it's round, unlikely it came from her, because a wipe would be long. So it must have been from a different, come from a louse or something. Mashach, if it's elongated, then it's Tameh. Divrei Blezer Ritzadik. Okay, so the Mishnah presented this concept called Tzliyos. If an Isha has any source of dam other than her own, she can blame it on that. If it's likely that it came from there, if there's some sort of connection and reasonable, cover story. Tanina. So in fact, our Mishnah fully supports this very same concept discussed in the Brisa, that we sort of excuse and blame her stain on another source of dam to make her Torah. Tanina Latan Rabbana Mas, there was a story, Vatala Reb Meir Bekilar. Reb Meir allowed an Isha with a stain to blame it on Kilar, some sort of reddish material that she was handling. The Rebbe as well, Talab Esraf, Shikma, he blamed it on the sap of a Shikma tree. Oishi Yashva. Mishnah speaks about her sitting near others involved in handling dam. That's enough of a cover story for her as well. Because it could have splattered, it could have Yashva, and only if she actually sat with them. Lo Yashva, but otherwise, you can't just, speculate. Perhaps Unbeknownst to me, I passed by a person. No, it's a bit too far. So our Mishnah supports the Brisa, which presents the same idea. You have to have a substantiated alibi. She passed through the market where it is known that there is dam. It's just a question of whether it landed on her or not. But there is a bona fide established alternate source of dam, which is a precondition for its liyah. True, Safek Nitas allow. We're not sure whether it landed on her, or maybe not. Safek Le Nitas allow. Toila, she can blame it on that. However, Safek Avra, Safek Le Avra, she's not even sure she passed through that alleyway. In this case, she can't use it as a tliyat tmiyah. Harga macholas. Okay, now over to the macholas suki. Mishnah speaks about an isha who certainly touched a macholas and killed it. Blame your stain on that. Harga in, if she killed it, yeah. Loy harga loy, but otherwise you can't just speculate. Maybe there was a louse, and maybe it came from there. Mas Nisan Mani, who's speaking in our Mishnah? Because we're going to have three shittas on this. It is Rabban Shimon Gamliel, the son. He holds harga toila, loy harga ina toila. Divrei, who's shita? Rabban Shimon Gamliel. He says the macholas excuse is only if she can confirm that she was handling the macholas. V'chacham oimrim, they go the other way, to the other extreme. No way, benkach toila. Whether or not she was involved in a macholas, you can just attribute it to it. They're so common that you can attribute to, today, they say the bed bugs are making a comeback. So it's very common to have these things. Amar Shimon Gamliel. I'm going to just try to frame our discussion. We're both sort of presenting extreme positions. I can see L'dvarai ein kates, u'divrei chaverai ein soif. My position is just limitless, and likewise, my opponent's position is endless. What does that mean? I'm being very machmer. Unless she can vouch for having handling a macholas, she's telling me even on a small stain, which makes it very difficult to handle. Very machmer. But conversely, my colleagues are very lenient. They're blaming anything and everything on an unknown source of dam. According to me, I'm being very, very machmer. You'll hardly find a woman who's tired for her husband, because as soon as she sees any sort of droplet, she's done. Find me a bed without some droplets of dam. The bed bugs, right? Dam achelis of a creature. And I'm saying, unless she can confirm that she handled the creature, she can't blame it on it, which puts her at a strong disadvantage. But on the other hand, according to my chaver and my chachamim, there's no end to the leniencies, because on their end of things, they're saying any stain can be blamed on any creature. You won't find a woman who's not to her. Everything can be blamed and excused. Because you won't find sheets without droplets of dam NIDAH, and they're excusing it. So even though she has no confirmed alibi, you're just going to excuse it. So let's take a middle route. Let's take a compromise route. Let's go with the words of Chanina and Tiknes. His position seems to be more plausible than mine and your position. So actual honesty. Because he would take the following approach. He would say, look, even without actually killing a macholas, since they're common, that's a minimum threshold, but up to a certain size. See, that's a middle compromise. She doesn't have the killing macholas aspect, but it's also with a limit. He would say, Ad kama yitoilat k'grushal pul. I'm going to take his approach. I'm going to agree to his approach, which is she can be toila, a stain, ad k'grushal pul, until the size of a gris. And even Rashi says, afilu loy harga. Even if she did not actually kill the macholas. Now let's just further explore the Rabbanan shita. which was presented as being on the other side of the spectrum. You can blame anything. So, until how big? I mean, Rashi says, so you have this huge stain, you're going to blame it on a tiny louse? Unlikely. There's a bit of a larger creature called a pishpish. If the stain is up until the size of a turmus, a bigger bean, you can blame it on the pishpish. So they're going a bit more. Not limitless, not endless, but a bit more than the gris/machelis allowance. So bottom line, we have three opinions regarding attributing a stain to a creature. We have, on the one side, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, who says, yeah, blame it on the machelis, provided you were involved in the machelis. We have the Chachamim who say, even without involvement, you can blame even a larger stain on the machelis, on the unknown machelis, or the unknown pishpesh, whereas according to Rabbi Chanina Tignois, that's a middle route, which says, look, up until a gris, you're safe and sound, even if you can't confirm the presence of a machelis. It's just been established as a minimum size, as a shear for a kesem due to the prevalence of lice, but even though you can't necessarily independently confirm your association with the louse, you're below that threshold, you're tar. Tana Rabbanan, speaking about this pishpesh creature, pishpesh is a it has a very unique shape. Its length is like its width, meaning it's a perfect square. It tastes like it smells. Bris krusaloi, there was a guarantee, if you squish it, if you squish it with your fingers, you'll smell it. Now, what's the point of discussing this? The point of discussing its configuration is regarding the halacha of stains. Rashi explains that all would agree, if you find this square-looking stain, you can blame it on the pishpish. Pretty evident that that's where it came from. Pretty uniquely shaped stain, it came from the pishpish. What about the point of the smell and the taste? What does that pertain to? Regarding truma, the snam. A kohen is in the middle of having a truma meal, and he tastes a bug. He tastes this pishpish in his mouth. What should he do? He doesn't want to swallow the bug, but spitting out the truma is going to invalidate it. It's going to ruin the food. Harizah yifleit, should spit it out. It's more important. Now, how does he even realize that it's a pishpish? Presumably he doesn't eat pishpishim for lunch. Well, how does he know what a pishpish tastes like? The answer is he smelled it. And it smells like it tastes, so he knows that it's a pishpish. But how would he know what it smelled like? For that we have the answer. We have a guarantee. If you squish it, you smell it. So he once squished it, so he's familiar with the smell, and now he can identify the taste. Amar Rav Ashi, speaking about the Tliya opportunity, a city roaming with swine, which Rashi says waddle in the garbage, and they're eating creatures and stuff, so there's a lot of blood being splattered in the area, and she could just blame her stain on the chazirim. In Choshen Ksam, or Nachmar Yitzchak, V'hada Daikras, this town called Daikras, even though it's lacking this feature of chazirim, but it has a similar status because of the abundance of the butchers there. Ki ira sheyesh b'chazirim dam, it's compared to the ira chazirim, in which case every isha can just blame every stain on the butchers. Interesting. So we have a town which is kesem free because of the prevalence of alternate sources of dam. So, as the Mishnah sets forth, the minimum size of a stain to trigger an issue is kigris shel pul. So, just for argument's sake, let's call it the size of a penny. So, below that size is okay. Beyond that size is tamei. What about exactly a penny? Amar Rav Huna kigris eina toila. If it's like a gris, so it's exactly like, she can't blame it on the machelis. Only below that size. Pachas begris toila. Rav Chizda Amar, he says no. The allowance is up until and including a gris, kigris toila. Yosim gris eina toila. Beyond that is too much. What's the machlekes about? Lema, perhaps we can suggest, That's a classic question. When you say, from here until, is it until including the destination or up until and not including destination? Lema, ba'ad, when you say until va'ad b'chalal k'miflagi, is the ad included? Perhaps that's the machlekes. The Rav Huna Savar, he says ad, when we say up until the penny, but not including v'ad b'chalal, Rav Chizda Savar, ad means including v'ad b'chalal. Amalach Rav Huna, no, we don't have to say that our machlekes is linked to that question. Ad b'chalal, it's some and some. Sometimes it goes including, v'ika, and sometimes ad b'chalal, not including. It depends if it generates a chumrah. So it can go either way. Well, machmer, whichever one generates a chumrah. V'achal chumrah, always it's the chumrah. And likewise over here, it's a chumrah to say until and not including. Right? Only until the penny, but not including. That's why I picked that approach. Rav Chizda Amar Lach, Chizda will tell you, ba'alma, eim lach l'chumrah amrina, kula amrina. True. In general, we'll go l'chumrah, and not l'kula. But why in this case am I being lenient? Am I allowing even the penny to be considered below the threshold? V'achak, the Ravo, as Ravo teaches us, typically even by the shiuri chachamim, we go l'hachmer, except chutz from the kesem, chutz mikigrishat ksamim l'hakel. And the reason why it's different in our case is because really minatur, she's fully tar, it's just a chumrah with the rabbanon, that a kesem is attributed to dam NIDAH, and therefore we allow ourselves more room for leniency, or we matar, even if it's sheer of a gris, as long as it's not above that point. So according to this version of the Gemara, both Rav Huna and Rav Chizda were discussing, or elaborating on the terms of our Mishnah. But there's another slightly different version. Some presented this discussion as an independent discussion, not relating to the Mishnah. It was a standalone machlekes. What about a kesem the size of a gris? Rav Huna Amar Kigris is like above, Kiyasser Kigris, and she's tamid. Rav Chizda Amar, no, it's like below. Kigris is kipachas Kigris. What's the machlekes about? The question is whether when we say ad, in the context of our discussion, is it including or not including? As we explained. That according to Rav Huna, we're machmer, whereas according to Rav Chizda, by Ksamim, there's a special dispensation. Meis becomes a kash. Rav Huna says a penny is considered like beyond a penny. So go to the next Talmud. Hoyola tibei damim lamata v'tibei damim lamala. Rashi learns lamata means below, means small in size. So she has small drips and also large drips. V'tibei damim lamala. Toila be'alyan kigris. Even the large drips, she can be toila. She can blame it on a louse, as long as it's ad kigris, until the size of a gris. Now, what does it mean ad until? Ma'ila kigris milamata. Means to say that up until and including a gris is still legal, because a gris is like below a gris and it's tar. And so Kashan Rav Huna says that she's considered tummy like a gris milamala. The actual gris size is like beyond the gris. So up until and not including, because if it's already a gris, you already passed the threshold and she's tummy. Okay, let's do a quick chazara of today's daf. A kesem found on her skin in a location which can be attributed to the source of dam NIDAH, for instance on the akeva, which could have come into contact with the area, or even reish goyla, which could have dripped on it as she was walking. She's tummy. Even on the back of her hand, which could have brushed by the area. But typically we don't assume that tumah travels from one stop to the other. Ein machzikin tumah malkim malkim. The reason why on the back of the hand is because it could have directly brushed the area. What if the stains come across in a very unusual configuration, a circle, etc., etc.? We left that unresolved. There's a story about the stain on the loom threads. She was instructed to duplicate it and determine accordingly. We spoke about the stain on the chalak worn by a short and tall woman. We discussed the stain discovered after Leah wore it on Monday, after having been worn by Rachel on Sunday, who post-inspected it before passing it on. Leah is presumed to be tamei, but she can send a cleaner's bill to Rachel. Okay, we had a long Mishnah regarding various attributions and tliyos, which are allowances when it comes to a kesem. As Rekiva taught us, we try to go lahakal on these matters, and we had examples of a tliyos, a butcher, a shchita behema chayva oif, even sitting next to people involved in these things, a makkah, even a makkah which is partially healed, which can be reopened and produce more dam. What about this size? Is there a minimum size? The size is a machoilis. We had 3 shittas. Shimon Gamliel says, yeah, blame it on the dead louse if you were involved with the louse. Chum say, no, even without being involved. And Chorin Tignus has a middle route. He says, you don't have to have that involvement, but still you have a maximum size, which is a gris. Even the Chacham would agree that at most you could be toiled the size of a pishpish. And the Gemara adds that if you find a square-looking stain, all agree you can blame it on the pishpish. Now, up until a gris you're tar, beyond the gris, Tommy, what about an exact gris? Machlokes. Rav Huna says tar, Rav Huna says tamei, Rav Chizah says tar. When it comes to ksamim, we go lahakal. All the best to you and atzlach.